pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome everybody to our first meeting of the year. Okay, the first thing I'm looking for, when I have a chance to read the minutes, the motion to approve the minutes. First by legislator Lockwood, second by legislator Twist. All those in favor? Aye. Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Minutes are approved. First item up is IT1, resolution establishing capital project number B0321, Hall Road Bridge over 9 Mile Creek.
Probably it should read increasing, not establishing on the headline. I got the resolution says that, but we opened this project up last year, and due to the increase of the steel and stuff, I just want to update it and get ready for this year.
So I'll make a motion to change. You said increasing?
Yeah,
It says increasing. I think we caught that already.
Yeah, okay.
They thought it was just
Perfect.
Very good.
Okay, I'm assuming we're gonna probably see this a couple times as the price of a lot of things.
Hopefully not, but
Right.
Yeah.
It's looking that way. Understood. Look for a motion to approve. First by legislator Holst, second by legislator House. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Carries. IT2, resolution establishing capital project B0222, Wilkesville Road Bridge over 9 Mile Creek.
this is in the town of Hannibal. We're looking at $250,000 to redo the superstructure of the bridge. This is probably one of our last bridges that we have with the open decking on it that you can see right straight through the old steel open decking years ago. We'd like to get that. That's also on our bridge list for this year.
I thought I'd more.
Yeah.
Okay. The motion approved. First by legislator Twist, second by legislator Holst. Any questions?
Kurt, both of these bridges are the same price. Are they both open stills, or is one a culvert, or?
No, they're both about the same.
So they're both open still?
They're open steel, but the one on Hall Road, they're a taller beam. So we need just a little bit more money for the taller beams.
Okay.
The ones on Wilkesville, I think, are like 33 inches tall, and the ones on Hall Road, I believe, are 24 inches.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Carries. IT3, resolution establishing capital project number B0322, Parker Road Bridge over Scriba Creek.
This again is the same thing in the town of Constantia. It's on our bridge list to do either this year or next year, so hopefully we can get at it this year. This is another bigger beam bridge.
Understand.
All three of these bridges will be done in-house.
Okay. First by legislator Lockwood, second by legislator House. All those in favor? Aye. Hearing none. Any opposed? Hearing none. Carries. Okay, thank you. Resolution IT4, resolution authorizing the execution of the supplemental agreement number 1 with New York State Department of Transportation, comptroller contract X040213, pin 3, red 05, County Route 5, the seawall replacement. We've seen this.
You guys have all seen this. It's the agreement with the state. Seeing how that we need to up the money, $100,000, we got to do the agreement all over again. So this is the agreement, and the next one is the resolution to increase the project to $660,000.
Understand. Any questions?
Just as extra information, this is happening because the original design estimate was $560, now it's up to $660, the reasons you were talking about.
All right.
This is $100,000 we have to front. Once the actual costs come in, we will be going back to the Ready Commission to seek permission to use unused money from the other Ready projects move it over here and get 80,000 of that 100,000 back for us.
Okay. Any other questions? All those in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none.
You need a
Carries.
motion on that one, 94.
The motion?
Yeah, we need
I did. I thought I had,
I didn't.
for the motion.
Lockwood and House, I believe.
There's a Lockwood and House.
I do apologize.
Okay, IT 5, resolution increasing capital project number B0821, County Route 5 seawall repair. Ready? That's what this just spoke about. First by legislator Twist, second by legislator Holtz. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? None. Carries. IT 6, resolution authorizing expenditure from capital reserve number 146, highway and equipment.
That's not me.
That's
So I can spend it.
Oh,
That's me.
David, yeah, look at highway and equipment.
I can spend it.
All right, that's good.
I'm sure you'd like the new stuff. This is, we had in our budget this year, we were gonna try to replace 3 vehicles. Instead, we've decided that we'd like to try to get 2. Our mail van is a 2014, and it's got 130,000 miles on it today, I checked. And the reason why we didn't ask last year is because we put a bunch of money into it. We decided, let's try it one more year. Since then, we do have other issues with it now. The doors on it don't work anymore, the slides and stuff, and it gets abused. It gets driven, 70 or 80 miles every day. So we're looking to replace that one. And also the other one is, it's a 16-year-old pickup. It's got 83,000 miles on it, but those are city miles. That's from the shop to the county buildings, and it's really showing its age. So after we had it inspected this past year, they told us that it probably wouldn't pass inspection again. And it looks pretty rough. So it's we've kind of taken it off the road. We're not driving it anymore. It's rough.
Not taking the right guy.
So,
Yeah, no, I've seen that vehicle. It's
rough now. So
now those ones more down, they go to auction, right?
that one will go to auction. The van, a lot of times with the van, like it's bad, but it can still be driven. We'll take that up to the jail, and the guys up there at the jail will use it just to drive around the property up there. They'll throw a mower in it or whatever, and we'll drive it for another 5 or 6 years up there.
We should take that one right to the end.
And then that's the vehicles. And then also, yesterday, I just want to bring it to your attention that our Bobcat, we had Bobcat down, and we have some major work that needs to get done to it. They recommended it's probably going to be $15,000, $20,000 to get all these lines replaced. It's going to need a new cab for it. It's a safety issue if we don't get the cab replaced because it's rusted so bad underneath it. That's bottom line is they're saying you could either put $15,000 or $20,000 into it, or you might really want to think about trading this one in and looking at a new one. So I don't have those prices with me today, but I'm working on it, and they're supposed to call me back with prices on what we could get for a trade-in on it, what it would cost. We do have special pricing, so I'll have
That's
that.
the one you guys do a lot of the snow removal. and stuff.
That one takes care of the legislative building, the Board of Elections, our shop, and that's the one we use all summer, all fall to do landscaping and stuff with. So we have a toolcat that we keep at the health department and other spots if we need it, and then we have a Bobcat that we have at the jail. But this one stays at our shop, and it comes to this building, Board of Elections, in our shop. So it's
Yeah, I saw that. Saw that one. All right, you're not asking for that today.
not today. I have no pricing on that, but I possibly, or I'll next month I'll have prices and possibly add it to this project.
So that we'd have to.
It'd be a separate
It'll be a
capital
separate,
project.
okay.
You could either, well, your choices would be to take a guess and increase this capital project to include it, or wait till next month and either set up a new capital project to buy the Bobcat, or amend this one to include it next month.
Oh, we don't like. wait, but we can add it to this next.
Yes.
All right, because I know you mentioned before when we spoke about seeing what, even the potential of leasing. Or
Right.
something like that. I know that was an option. Maybe I'll give you time to look into that.
No, it will. They were supposed to call me back today, but they haven't yet. But just on the computer yesterday, after I heard the news, I got on and just their pricing without our state pricing was like $800 a month to lease it, $70,000 to buy it. So it's gonna be a lot cheaper than that, or hopefully it's a lot cheaper than that.
Right. Well, at least it'll give you time to.
Right,
Check.
right.
All right, so we'll stick with the 2 vehicles for now. We can always amend after. All right, anybody have any questions?
Yeah, well, is the Bobcat state contract?
Yeah,
Or would you
yes.
benefit from it using purchasing to get them quoted?
Well, we'll check it both ways, but normally Bobcat of Syracuse or whatever it is, Thompson Johnson, what is it?
Thompson, yeah.
Thompson, they normally end up with all the work anyway and all the stuff.
Thank you.
How many hours on that machine?
There's not that many, there's under 1,000.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's an older machine, it's a 2007,
Right,
but we don't use it every day.
Right.
We use it,
no hours.
no, and that's the problem with it right now, it's just under the cab, and we do wash it and stuff all the
Oh, yeah.
time, but what they told us is all the salt just runs to the middle of the machine, and
Yeah, you can't get it out of it.
no, and the only reason we noticed is because we had a leak. And then once we picked the cab up on it, we seen the lines and everything looked horrible, and
Oh,
they
yeah.
told us that in order to replace those, you have to pull the motor out and stuff, and then that's when he got into saying, well, look at your seat, your seat's gonna fall right off the mounts and stuff, so.
Can't just have somebody hover instead of sitting.
That was the safety issue though, because everything runs through your head when they tell you this, but he said that if that seat does drop, it's gonna fall down onto the levers and you won't be able to stop it. So if you're using it right now, then it becomes a safety issue.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Very.
Wait, you were thinking, you know,
Make sure you got your seatbelt
cost here or something,
Right.
you know.
Understood. All the other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none. Motion carries. Thank you. Next, the IT 7 resolution authorizing budget mod central services establishing capital project number T0122 for update copier fleet and fax server solution. Great.
So this funding request is essentially to update the bulk of the county's copier fleet. It's 55 new machines, many of which are 10 plus years old. A good portion of that existing fleet is what are called green line machines, and they were purchased, they were used machines, 5 years old when they were purchased, so they're, now 10 plus years old. They're off support. We can't update the firmware on them, so they're not, there's some security concerns as well. This proposal does reflect continuing to use 10 existing machines. They're more recently purchased Ricos, where the end of life is out beyond 2024, so it made sense to me to get some more life out of them. The vendor we've selected is able to support those machines, so I think that's a good value for the taxpayers, getting more utilization out of these assets. These are all machines we own. This proposal is to purchase the machines. I didn't inquire about leasing, but I didn't see whether it's necessarily anything that asked that question by Vanessa to see if from a reimbursement standpoint, anything like that, it's advantageous to go the lease route. And I didn't see where it was. Then the other piece of this is to implement a fax service solution. It's cloud-based, and what that means is the majority of our existing fax lines are some we won't move out because there's some like for your drills that are over there. It wouldn't make sense to move those out. They need to be available in EOC, whatever. But so the majority of our fax lines would be ported over to this cloud service. Fax traffic would go to the cloud. That's where we would pull faxes down from. Then rather than having traditional fax machines, we would retire the majority of those. Users could fax from their computers, so they don't have to print it out and then go and fax it, so we're saving some paper. Or by the same token, if they have a hard copy of something, it could be scanned into one of these new machines. For the new multifunction copiers that are in the scope of this proposal are also fax capable. So we're working toward consolidating our fleet. The other part of this, the way these machines were sized, we asked our vendors four kind of mainstream vendors representing the big multifunction copier players out there, to kind of bring their experience in this area to bear and make a recommendation that results in a cost saving for us, but also create some administrative efficiencies as well. So one of the things I'm looking to do with this is, as we deploy this, is to couple it with a print policy on a draft I'm working on, but where we do away with local printers and probably the majority of secondary network printers. We push all of our print volume to these machines that are more efficient, that are lower cost to print on. So there's tens of thousands of dollars worth of savings potential a year if we got to do all this as a package. We got to kind of work out how we're going to ultimately police up all those machines. I'd kind of like to use, like we have an existing cartridge, toner cartridge stock that we've already paid for, and let's see that get used up first. But the end game is to really reduce the size of our existing printer fleet, which is 200 plus, down to probably a number of 75 or 80, something like that. The sort of target ratio for printers is about 10 people per printer, so to speak. We have about 850 information workers, people that would print. Now our ratio is about 4 people per printer. So getting down to 70 or 80 machines is in line with what is a best practices approach, more cost-effective approach. And from the standpoint of my team, we have fewer devices to manage, fewer devices that we need to have licenses for from our print management software. So overall, there's savings here. And with the savings on printing, if we aggressively approach reducing the size of our printer capability, this pays for itself essentially, as does the fax server as well. The cost of the faxing through the cloud versus what we're paying for analog lines, that's about budget neutral. We do need to add a few to make sure we have we have backup lines for emergencies. We found too we probably need to add a few backup lines for our alarm lines as well. We're still talking with Don Forbes on that to make sure we understand the requirement there, but in getting into this, we see we've got a deficiency we need to address. So it's kind of the gist of what's here. There's some buffer funds in here as well, because we're making a fairly large change, and if it turns out in pushing this change through and working with departments to get their printing optimized, we don't want to leave them short either. So if we need to buy another machine, something along those lines, there's some funds in here to do that, and feels like it's right sized. The number of machines here is pretty consistent with what three of the 4 vendors were about the same number of machines they recommended. So I feel like this is pretty good, but I want to be sure we don't that the users have a good experience with this transition. So people are going to be reluctant about giving up their printer that's sitting on their desk that cost 2 or 3 times as much to print on. That's what we want to get away from. So that's the gist of this and what these funds are for. Any questions on that?
That fax server though is a good process of receiving fax email versus coming to your fax machine and sitting there all weekend, and it could be proprietary or confidential information on it too, and it sits open to others. So there is some good
there's
benefit
security
of it.
advantage, and if you're working remotely, you can retrieve your faxes
Yeah.
from the cloud server. It's HIPAA compliant. It's not explicitly CGIS compliant, but the federal court system uses it, so we have a comfort level that the security that needs to be in place to protect our data is there. And this is fairly widely utilized by other counties as well. So I think we're positioned well on this solution.
Okay, sounds good. Any other questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, that carries. And we have the one addition, which is the IT-8. This is the resolution appointing acting director of solid waste. The intern, this would be Carlson.
Move it.
Absolutely. First by legislator Twist, second by legislator Lockwood. I just want to say I had the chance to go up and meet with Carl recently and speak to him about a lot of different things. And it's actually, I know we had some issues and stuff in the past and whatnot, and I'm really confident that Carl's going to do a great job here moving into this position, and definitely looking forward to it. Absolutely. Anybody have any questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, congratulations. Carl.
Welcome aboard.
Okay.
Yeah, right.
On to bids. First one up is solid waste, electronics recycling. Howard?
Yeah, we had 3 vendors bid, and Kurt evaluated and chose e-waste. It looks like it was substantially,
That's Carl.
I'm sorry, Kurt, I meant Kurt. Did I say Carl?
Carl.
You said
Oh, you did, that's right, I'm sorry. I'm thinking they're all highway because we do so many for highway.
Come on,
Well, we love to, Kurt. We love to do all your bids. How's that?
That was good.
Thank you. The second one was,
Oh, wait, we gotta go through.
you wanna go through the,
Yeah, we gotta go through
Okay.
that first. First by legislator Twist, second by legislator House. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, carries. Yes, Ally.
okay, now Kurt's bids.
Oh, I apologize. Yes, on the highway, bid
Okay.
22-HW001, cutting edges, grader blades, and snowplow shoes.
Yes, we sent out notices to 3 companies besides posting everything, and we received 2 responses, and Shamon was the lowest.
Oh, yeah, that's for multiple different prices.
Yes, yes.
Understand, looking to award any issues with that, Kurt?
What's that?
Any issues with Shamong?
No, I just wanted for some of the newer legislators that are here, I would just like to let them know that these bids that we put out, all the towns are able to purchase off of them if they want to.
Understand. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, carries. Next bid for highway would be bid 22-HW002, sign blanks.
And we sent out 5, we sent out to 5 directly. Only 1 response, Newman Signs. So they were the lowest.
Understood. Understood. And you dealt with them too.
Yes.
Understand. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, carried. Okay, the next one is, that's not a bid, that would be tree trucks sold to towns, anything less acreage.
Yeah, I just kinda wanna get your guys' opinion on it. We purchased a couple new tree trucks, and now our older tree truck, one's a 50 footer, it's a 93, and one's a 72 footer, it's a 99. Both are in halfway decent condition. They were both just inspected last year. Just wanted to feel you guys out about offering them to the towns before we put them up for auction.
What towns run tree service?
Town of West Monroe has one, town of Schuylkill has one, town of Valmy, I believe, has one, and some I'm probably missing.
They'd be interested in older ones like that?
Yeah, because they're a lot newer than the ones they got.
Oh, fair enough.
Usually, yeah. We did it once, I don't know, I'm not sure if you were on the committee, we put a paver out for the towns 1 year before we put it up to auction, and they ended up buying the paver. What we did was we just put out we just put out like a letter, if you're interested, just send us like a silent bid auction deal. And I think you guys opened it up here, and whoever the higher bidder was got the piece of equipment. I mean, this way here, I got a purchase agent we can go through now, so. I mean, it's just something to throw out there to you guys, otherwise we'll put them in the auction.
It seems like an older truck like that, for what we would make going to auction, would probably benefit with the towns. You know what I mean?
Well, that's,
Because
Be a
there's-
good idea to give the towns a shot at it.
give them a shot anyway, that's what I thought.
Absolutely.
And did you know that they ran tree services?
Yeah, there's quite a few of them. In fact, I believe Town of Scruple's got one of our old bucket trucks, and so is the Town of Weston Mill, I think. So,
We don't formally make anything for that, that's just something he's gonna look into, we don't make a motion, or we don't.
Yeah, you
We have to approve the sale to the
Yeah,
towns. You're not required to get bids to sell to municipalities. You can sell to any municipality you want to. But on fairness, it makes sense to poll the towns and see what they.
Right. But that's just a
Towns and cities
process,
too,
we
it's
don't,
just-
we
right,
don't make a resolution.
Right, and if it comes in and you think you can do better in the auction, that's up to you.
I think the question is, do you need a vote from this committee to transfer the
obviously,
But you have to come back here for a resolution of the floor to
Well,
transfer.
to approve the sale, right?
Right, you have to go over to the floor on that.
you just have to approve the sale and also approve where the money goes to, right?
Exactly.
Right. Well, that sounds good, though, at least we'll look at that one. And the next thing up is the snow and ice agreement, sounds good.
I'm not done. Our snow and ice agreement is a 3-year contract. I just wanted to bring to everybody's attention that it runs out in May of this year, May 30th. If you want to get a head start on it, we get started on it, and if you guys got ideas of how you want to handle it or not handle it, I guess my recommendation was I just thought we'd throw it back out as it is for another 3 years, no increases, no nothing.
Right.
Because I think they,
Made out pretty good.
they did make out pretty good, I think, the last couple of years, and I don't think they would, I don't think they can argue it against you.
Right. I know we,
just wanted to bring it up to everybody's attention, see if they want to change something, that's all.
Right.
I know Phil wants to lower it.
I can
I know where you- When we met with them before, when we met with the Superintendent's Association, and I know we agreed to meet at the end of this one, is there anything that we would like to see change? I know, because some things changed regarding like the frequency that they're going out, or has there been any issues at all?
I have had no issues whatsoever, but like I said, that there hasn't been that much of a winter in the last few winters either, but they've all been, I've got no complaints from any constituents or anything, I mean, taxpayers or.
I didn't know if it was something, you think we should sit down, and just kind of get the feel how everything.
Well, I think, I'm not sure, but I think the town's gonna try to put a little group together and then sit down with us, but that's, I just wanted to get it under motion and not wait till the last minute and then end up with a fighting match or something, because
Right.
a lot of times we had issues with, not so much maybe with the superintendent as we did with the supervisors. They were concerned about, signing a 3-year contract, you know,
Right.
and, we did it for years with the state, and now the state turned around this year here, and that we just signed a 5-year contract, because they want to push all their contracts in 5 years, so that was another thought I was thinking about putting in here, pushing to 5 years, or.
Do you think it's something we should meet with them, kind of get some feedback with them, and then?
Yeah, that's why I wanted to bring it up for discussion, see what you guys want to do. We can
At least set up a meeting and see what, if there's any concerns
That's
or issues,
easy
and then we will bring it back. And
Who do you want me to set it up with, you and, me and whoever wants to go?
Yeah, if there's anyone from the committee that would like to.
So you're thinking both supervisors and highway superintendents invite, that way sometimes some towns that they quarrel a little
Well,
bit.
they fight amongst each other, some of them do, yeah. I would start with the highway superintendents, they're the ones you deal with all the time, that's what basically the whole contract is.
Right.
Between the highway superintendents, me and them, you know. So,
Okay.
But the boards have to approve it.
The boards have to approve it, yeah.
Right, and I mean, you could leave it up to them, the invitations, or, you know,
Right.
if one or both of them wish to attend, you know, that'd be fine.
Okay. So I'll get with you sometime and figure out a date and send a letter out or email them that.
That sounds good.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Kurt. And, up for EMO, a request for a cell phone for the drone coordinator.
However you want to call it. The new drone coordinator position is a part-time position, and so a lot of his activities might be on the road or with other agencies. So for ease of communication, we are requesting to allocate a cell phone to him instead of a desk phone just because that seems like an easier version to contact him directly. Because some of the hours that they'll be working might not be regular normal business hours, outside of the office, so. If he had a request, we could allocate him a cell phone. Fiscally responsible not to have two separate cells, a cell phone and a desk phone. Can't see the point of that, so.
That makes sense. That's something I'm sure it's happened in other departments, correct? All right. First by legislator Twist, second by legislator Lockwood. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none?
Thank you.
Carries. Hey, on to the airport. Brandon, I haven't heard from you in so long.
And that's why I wanted to bring this up. So, since we've last met, there's a deadline for FAA for grant applications. That deadline is January 31st. FAA does projects in two phases. They do a design phase, and then there's a gap year, and then there's a construction phase. Typically, they'll fund both of them. Right now, I have a grant application in to design the rehabilitation of taxiway Bravo and Delta, small portions of each. They're both over 20 years old. FAA will fund both projects. They will fund 90%, state will fund 5%. There's going to be a 5% local match, as typical FAA grants are. So I have grant applications in for both of those projects right now. Got some estimates on numbers for Bravo and Delta. It looks like it's going to be about $224,000. Local match would be $11,212. And we also have design of the replacement and relocation of our airport beacon. This thing was all run on steam engine. This thing is the most antiquated thing you've ever seen in your life. Anytime it breaks, we've got to call Scribe Electric. They got to take the motor out, rebuild the motor. You can't get parts for it anymore. So I have a grant application in for that as well. And that's going to be about $81,750. And local match is going to be $4,087. So we're waiting to hear back from FAA to receive these grants. The big one right now, back in 2020, we received a grant offer from FAA to design the rehabilitation of runway 624. Again, they do it in design phase, gap year, and then construction phase. So the way that FAA does the construction phase is you go out to bid based on where the bids come in, your low bidder, then you go back to FAA and put in the grant application. So right now we're actually out to bid for the rehabilitation of runway 624. Engineers' estimates are coming in. There's a base bid and two add-on bids. We don't know what's going to get awarded based on FAA funding. Some of it is to replace the drainage adjacent to the runways. It's left over from back when the Army built the airport, and it's back in the 40s. It's no longer in specifications. It's no longer safe. It's no longer serviceable. So that's one of the add-ons. The second one is actually there's a lot of pavement over by Howard Road that's in the runway safety area, and you're not supposed to have that according to FAA regs. So there's an add-on in this bid right now to remove that pavement that's there. It's actually from a fish concert. It's the reason. So engineers' estimates for that right now, we're waiting to see what bids come in. Bid opening will be February 10th, same time as the legislative meeting. So I'll be there instead of there. It's probably going to be about $5 million if everything's awarded, and that's engineers' estimate. Near impossible to do estimates right now with the construction, the world that we're living in. Our 5% local on that one, if it comes in around there, is probably $237,000. So just wanted to give the committee a heads up that that's where we're at. I will be bringing to committee next month to potentially award to the low bidder for runway 624 contingent upon federal funding.
I know in the past, a lot of that work, we have done the local share through highway.
Right. That's for state grants. We can't do that with federal grants. You can't do force account work. We can't do that through highway. So that was the terminal building and the T hangars. Both of those were state grants, and we were able to do the.
But even a lot of that removing concrete or things like that, we can't do any of that through.
No, it's a monetary contribution only.
Understood. So I just want to make sure I'm clear on this, that 5 million you just said, that's 224 local, but that's for all of these projects?
That's correct, yes. If everything gets awarded, everything is funded, yes. Yes. And that's based on the engineer's estimate. Could come in low, could come in a little higher too. So. Welcome back.
Yeah. You slid that 5 million number there towards the end. $4,000, 11, and yeah, that one come in. That's the right. So what are we looking to do here?
Nothing, I just wanted the informational purposes only, but that's where we're at. I've got grant applications
Yeah.
for all of that, so.
All right, very good. All right,
Hi.
You say?
thank you, Brandon.
Your cell phone doesn't seem so.
Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah.
$40 a month.
Okay, well, thank you for the information, and now we're looking at the motion to go into executive session, discussions regarding proposed pending or current litigation, Who versus Oswego.
You versus. And before we do, I would just like to let the committee know that we sent letters to the supervisors, Brandy, Oswego, and Minetto on transferring West District Road to the county, become Highway 25, we started that process.
Yeah, no,
So we'll keep you posted on it.
All right, sounds good. With my motion.
I had one more thing I wanted to speak about.
Oh, you can stay.
I've been working on air purifiers for the buildings and through Healthway in Pulaski. And to come into the legislative buildings, put air purifiers throughout the offices, throughout the chambers, throughout the bigger rooms. It's going to be $16,000. We did the same thing at DSS, and we have a couple out there already. That was around $36,000. In the Pulaski Courthouse, that was an additional $13,000. So right now, we put air purifiers in the buildings, in those 3 buildings, it's around $63,000. But these air purifiers, some are ceiling mounted, some are wall mounted, and some are just big units that, like, they sit in the chambers on wheels. And what these things do is they purify your air 2 times a day if they're on low, and 5 times a day if they're on high. So they're good for allergies, they're good for their COVID, they're good for flus, you know, they're good for mold, lots of things that they would help out
This
with.
was something we were looking into last year, right?
We may have talked about it
I
before.
know there was some concern about it before people.
It's, probably through DSS, because we ended up getting a couple of the bigger units for their conference rooms out there. And since then, we've started doing the other buildings. And more than anything, I was just wondering if it's something the committee would be interested in to continue to do. And it's probably going to cost a couple $100,000. I've talked with Dave Turner about it, and he said that the rescue money, we could possibly get it out of there. But like I said, I just wanted the committee to know that it's probably going to be around $200,000 before it was all said and done, but if it's okay, I'd like to continue.
Haven't spent it yet, so you can keep looking.
Right.
I know this was something that was talked about before, because I know when a lot of the COVID first started, we had talked about, we had trouble before with the ventilation system.
Sure.
Before, and this isn't gonna be anything that's altering our current ventilation.
No, especially in the older buildings, and that's why we started with these ones first, just because you can't hook it into your ventilation systems in the ceilings, and, you know, these are all standalone units or wall units or whatever. Some of them for this building are on wheels, like for the chambers, but you could take it from the chambers and pull it right into here if there's a meeting, and it's gonna clean the air, you know, and keep the air clean. And these, you know, this person, it's a state bid also. It's through Healthway, it's in Pulaski, so.
Local company.
And local company, they build them, they get them out right from there. So, I'm gonna come back next month. I don't know if I'll do the public safety center, because that's probably gonna be the most expensive building. And I don't know what we're gonna do up there in the future as far as our remodel. So I'd almost like to wait on that one, but possibly have them go into the Fulton office building, give us a price on that, and then maybe just the health end for the nursing area, environmental, and catch that. And then, next month, come back with a better number for those buildings and possibly get moving on that.
All right.
Okay?
Sounds good.
All
Thanks a
right.
lot, Rick.
Yep, thank you.
Appreciate it. Okay, okay, the first and second going into executive session.
We didn't make the
All-
motion yet.
I think that's what we have, but,
Just one second.
We got to
first by Holst, second by Blackwood.